I'm wondering what's going to happen about my recording because it completely stopped.
It's still showing on for me.
Yeah, because I just turned it back on.
Okay.
I think I'm going to get to.
It says it's still recording, Mrs. Harrison.
Well, we'll just have to see how it goes, my friends. All right. So we're going to do one little section together, and then we're going to go ahead and have an opportunity to get into breakout groups with, I think, Mrs. Aubin, it might have to do. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not letting, since I jumped out, I don't even count as a person anymore. It doesn't look like. Okay. Well, you know, never a dull moment at West Jeff Elementary. All right. So I'm going to get back into my presentation. All right. So we should be on page, in your work or in your book, I would love for you to be on pages 6 and 7. Okay, so we're going to look at 6 and 7. And inside your workbook on pages 73 and 74, I'm going to go ahead and hit present. Let's see if this will work. Wow, I'm having a stellar teachy day today. All right, so here you have 3 sections. And the first section, oh boy, I'm telling you. Loading. There we go. So here you will find that it's going to help you decide which section that they're talking about, because this isn't just like paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and so on. We have little bits of information that are sprinkled through pages 6 and 7. So what they do to tell us which section it is that we're going to be doing is it gives us a hint, beginning at amphibians are animals. So everybody can find that section on the upper left-hand corner where it says amphibians are animals. And they want us to read this section that it goes through, breathe through lungs. Now you'll notice those quotation marks. The quotation marks tell us that that's exactly written inside our book. So we are going to read this page together. We're going to write about what the gist is mostly about. And we're going to look and see if there are any vocabulary words that we might want to look up or see if we can figure out what those words mean. And then I'm going to ask, I'm going to have Mrs. Aubin break us out into some breakout groups in a little bit. And you are going, in your group, you're going to do a couple of sections of this with your group. You're going to figure out what the gist of certain paragraphs are about and any unfamiliar vocabulary and what you think it might mean. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take up my dock camera again if it wants to work. There we are. All right, so that Cooper can see the writing as well. Okay, so I'm going to read this aloud, and you're reading with your eyes in your own book. All right, so again, our heading is amphibians. Amphibians are animals that live partly in water and partly on land. Frogs, toads, newts, and salamanders are all amphibians. Reptiles have dry, scaly skin, but amphibians have soft, moist skin. Most amphibians can breathe through their skin, but only if it stays damp. Adult amphibians can also breathe through lungs. Okay. So everybody in their heads, think about what the gist of this section here is about. And I missed your conversation about gist, but I'm going to assume that you talked about how that it's what that text is mostly about. So here we go. What does somebody, I have a couple friends who are talking to others. I don't know who they're talking to, Mr. Josh. Let's see, do we have anybody who thinks they know what the gist of this section is mostly about? Oh, I have my friends who are such always good participators. I'm looking for somebody new today. Elena.
I think the gist is about how amphibians can breathe.
Okay, so you think the whole thing is about how they breathe. Okay, well, what about the sentence about their skin? Is that sentence tell us entirely about how they breathe? Not quite, but it is about amphibians. So everybody, we're going to start with amphibians. Now, when I write amphibians down in my gist, should I spell it correctly? I like my friends who are saying yes. Why should I be able to spell this word correctly? Because it's right here, right? Or if I didn't have it right on the paper, it's right in my book. So I should make sure that when I'm writing amphibians, that it is spelled correctly, because it's right here on my page. Plus, it's also right on the heading of my book. Amphibians. You are correct, Miss Elena. It is about amphibians. And let's look at that first word again. Or not first word, first sentence. Because often the first sentence also tells us about what the rest of it's going to be about. And so let's reread it. Amphibians are animals that live partly in water and partly on land. And then the next sentence tells us what some amphibians are. And then it talks about their skin, and then it talks about how they breathe. So what could we say? Amphibians? What could we say? I'm hoping for one more person here that's got a good idea. Miss Haley Booker.
I think it's about like the life and like how the amphibians they like kind of like a life cycle.
Okay, well, this isn't telling us how they go through their life cycle yet. I think some more of the information that's on the rest of the 2 pages might have to do about that. So let's think about, they tell us that they breathe through their skin, they breathe through lungs. Some examples. How about amphibians are animals? They are animals. Right? That's probably important to tell us because some kids may have never heard of the word amphibians. And if in case if it might sound like something completely different than a type of animal. Amphibians are animals. We're going to go with that. Oh, sorry. That live in water and on land. If you think about their skin has to be damp. So there's where our water comes from. Okay. Adult amphibians also breathe through their lungs. If they're breathing through lungs, they must be on land. Right? Land. Are there any words that you're not maybe sure what they are that we could add to our unfamiliar vocabulary? Any words? Now we could list things like newts and salamanders. We could list those. If you're not sure what a newt is, you could put newt. You could also put salamander. But I'm thinking I would like just to think about what the word damp means. What does damp mean? If somebody didn't know what damp meant, what would you tell them? What is damp? Now we use the word damp in a different way when we use the word dampen when we were talking about the rain in our first module, and it had a totally different meaning. But what does this one mean, Lila?
Damp means like wet, but it's also like moist.
Moist, very good. I think those are the 2 words I'd add too. Very nice. Damp, wet, or moist. How about lungs? If somebody didn't know what lungs meant, what would we maybe say? Somebody, I know Miss Lila's always got good ideas. Let's see if anybody else can add to our idea. Lungs. Lungs. What are lungs? A lot of us know what they are, but it's hard to explain. Gavin, what are lungs?
They're parts of your body that allow you to breathe air.
Very good. All right, I'm going to call them organs, but I'm going to also say parts of the body, because if we didn't know what an organ was, that's not going to help us describe it, right? Parts of that help. One, I'm going to say one because I'm going to say I would say you, but in this case it's the frog. It's the frogs, right? Help one breathe air. All right. Okay, my friends. So, came up with our gist, some unfamiliar vocabulary. When you are with your group, I would like you to find at least one particular word, if you could, for each section. Some of the sections are a little harder to find a word than others. Just do your best, okay? Just do your best, okay? And we could have even put amphibian in here, and then we could have said, we could have gone back to our glossary. And used our glossary to come up with the word and what an amphibian is, perhaps. So you can use some other resources if you're trying to figure out what a word means. So let's real quickly find the section that says how many. So if you're looking in your book, this is our section that says how many. All right, so you're going to do this with your group first. You're going to write just a really short gist, see if there are any words that you need to define. The next one is a toad a frog? So that section, really short, but you can find right here, okay? Then on page 74, I'm a tree frog. That's the next one. So you're gonna find the section over here where it says I'm a tree frog, all right? Then the next one, it says beginning at most amphibians and ending at eggs and water. Now, that's this little section here because it says most amphibians, all right? So you can find the first sentence and the last sentence. The first sentence, or the first section, the last section. The first section, the last section, the first section, and the last section. This one is called metamorphosis. We'll talk about that a lot more in the future. And that is this section right here. Okay, what I would like you to do is everybody needs to have pages 73 and 74 out. I don't know that you'll get all the way through them. I don't surmise that you will, but I want you to see if you, as far as you can get, and we're gonna kind of just I'm gonna ask randomly some people to share what their group decided. Okay, so make sure you know so that when I call on you, you can represent your entire group, okay? Your friends with these 3 things, all right? And then we will add to our classroom group, and if we don't get finished today, that's fine, because you guys are pretty good at gist, and we don't necessarily have to get through all of it, but I would like to see you get through as much of it as you possibly can. All right, Mrs. Aubin, I'm gonna stop sharing. And I'm hoping that you could put them in groups of, 3-ish, maybe. I don't know how it's going to break up, but.
Triads, so we'll try.
If you can.
Yep.
That would be great. Okay, everybody got their pencil ready?
Here we go.
Let me see your pencils. All right, you ready? You and your group are going to do each section that you can together. Don't dilly-dally.
Robert, are you clear? I know you said you went to the bathroom, but I hope you heard her just explain what to do. Can you give me a thumbs up that you know?
Oh, sorry, my little brother just yelled something. I do not know where's because I'm not sure if I have it yet.
Have your workbook and your frog book. Those are the 2 things.
I don't know where my frog book is.
It got.
I'm not sure if I have it.
You should, buddy. We had everybody pick them up before even about the time Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving.
If not, in your breakout group, hopefully someone could share their screen to show you.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that would be the best way.
perfect.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Heather, yep, good. Thank you for getting. Hey, we're all the headphones.
What's the point?
Right. Okay, let's look at that first section. How many? Mr. Cole, do you want to read it for us?
Sure.
Go for it.
There are about 6,800 species of amphibians, most of which are frogs. There are about 600 species of newt and salamanders.
Very good. All right, Henrik, what do you think? What's our gist? Oh, I can't hear you for some reason.
I think our gist is the amphibians.
Okay, well, we have to come up with a sentence. So what did this section tell us about amphibians, Henrik?
It told us how much species there are.
All right, very good. So should we write there are many species?
Like when we were first doing the money on the quick quiz, he looked at it and did it all on his head. Yeah. But then the problem that like it's confident place is he got overly confident within his head. So if he get wrong.
All right, there. Here, let me share my screen real quick.
So like in second grade, Mr. Bradley was like.
All right, so there are many species of amphibians. Cole, what do you think we should put down as our vocabulary word? What's a word that somebody might not know?
He has like
Salamander or newt.
We could put that down there.
So let's see right
How about
here.
how about this word though, species?
Yes.
I think a lot of people
Yes, that
wouldn't
could work.
necessarily know what a species is, right?
okay, so what is
So,
Yeah.
Cole, what is a species?
It's a type of it's like a type.
Yeah. Yep. Type of animal, right?
Is it
Good.
Yeah, the 1-8.
All right. Is a toad a frog? Henrik, do you want to read that section?
At first, when we first started doing it, he'd always.
Can you guys hear me?
I can now.
Okay.
Yeah, she is camping and jumping.
Wait, what page was it?
From
Page 7. It says is a toad a frog? So it's this section up here.
it has 1. Okay, so it's. Okay, so let's see what the morning work is.
Uh-oh. It
I
disappeared.
have dry lumpy skin that looks like it's covered in water. People usually call me a toad, but I'm really a frog.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. What do you think is the gist of this section?
So it's like, what number am I? I'm greater than 72 and I'm less than 82.
What do you think the author wants us to learn?
That toads are
So he
frogs.
has to
Yep.
choose.
I think so too.
Yeah, like 61 or 81. I'm greater than 72 and I'm less than 82.
Very nice. Any words that somebody might not know? What do you think?
These are little.
How about a wart?
Oh, yeah, wart.
These are little
Wart
bits
is?
that in.
Yeah.
All right. So what is a wart? It's a lumpy skin growth. Can people can people get a wart on their skin?
Yeah.
Yeah, people can get, and it's just a little lump. little bump kind of, and it grows on their skin, and then they can get rid of it in a different ways. But all right, how you guys doing? Top of page 74. I'm going to leave you. All right. So
Okay.
do you guys know where the next part is, Henrik?
Yeah.
A tree frog, right? All right. You guys finish as far as you can get. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing, obviously. That's how I get out of here, huh? All right. You guys keep going without me.
Workbook.
Gotcha. Okay, friends, let's take a look at what you guys came up with. I heard some of us were really rocking it, and I also heard that some of us were confused about our job. All right, so let's make sure that we all kind of have the right idea. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. And let's see here. So I'm gonna show you some things I did with my group. And then we'll see what have you guys add some more things to it. So my group and I put in the section that it says how many, we wrote there are many species of amphibians. We decided that was basically what the gist was, that there are lots of them. Give me a thumbs up if you had something similar to that.
I had that exact same thing.
Oh, very good. Ooh, lots of good thumbs up. All right. If you didn't write that, or if you're still lacking something to write, you could. Mrs. Harrison was having a hard time writing and talking at the same time, so I did spell species correctly eventually. So if you want to write that down, and then we said, well, species is kind of a hard word, and my friend Cole said, well, it's a species is a type of animal. Right? So we have different species of frogs, we have different species of dogs, we have different species of a lot of different types of animals, right?
What about a newt?
So there we go. And then we went on to the next section where it says, is a toad a frog? And basically the whole section was to tell us that toads are indeed frogs, right? And then the word we came up with was wart. And we know that frogs have warts. Humans can get warts, but we just said it was a lumpy skin growth. There was something that kind of grew on our skin, and we didn't want to just say lumpy skin, but it's a growth. Okay, so if you didn't quite get anything filled in with those, you might want to get those. Anybody else have a different word that they put in either of those? Vocabulary words? Not a lot of hands up. Okay, so let's look at the second section. I'm a tree frog. What are some things some people put in the gist for the tree frog section? What did you write in there? Let's see, Max Fox, what did you in your group? Did you get to that page, get to that section? What did you guys write?
Which section?
The top of page 74, I'm a tree frog.
Oh, we did not get to that section.
Okay.
I think maybe Jensen did, but me and Robert were just talking.
Oh no, okay. So Jensen, did you get to that section? Trying to find him in my long list of. Hey,
I think Sawyer should share.
Oh, Sawyer, please share.
Yeah, let's put the toy away, Sawyer. Get your workbook.
Sawyer, what did your group decide to put into the gist of the tree frog?
I don't think he was paying attention in that part of our group.
What would you like to add? Would you like to tell us what you guys wrote?
Sure.
That'd be great.
He wrote, tree frogs live on humid trees. Usually frogs live near rivers.
Ah, okay. So, because it said most frogs live near a river, pools of water, but in rainforest it's so humid that tree frogs are wet all the time, allowing some frogs to stay in them permanently. So our gist could be tree frogs. If you don't have anything written in here, you should be getting it written in there. Tree frogs live.
Lucas, let's get going. Put the toy away. Right.
Tree frogs live in humid rainforest.
Serne, start writing. Abby, start writing.
Trees. Okay, guys, got to keep. But Mrs. Aubin and I have you guys come back, and for those of you who are coming back in person, we're going to be looking through your workbook, and we're going to have us make sure that we're filling out what you know, next week we might have to take some of your other time to do some other things. Anybody, how about the word humid? What does the word humid mean? What does that word mean? And it was in italics. So when you think about, so sometimes when the author wants us to pay attention to something, right? They either use bold type or italics to make a big point of us looking at it. So
Astria has her hand up.
Astria, awesome.
Humid means like it's hot.
It could mean that it's hot, but in the
hot, but kind of like refreshing.
Ah, okay. So what is it that's it's the air, right? It has to do with the air, but how does the air feel? And you use the word refreshing. Sometimes some people would maybe say
wet.
They don't. Yeah. So moist air, right? So the air is moist, and sometimes if you're someplace where it's very hot, sometimes it doesn't feel very refreshing. Sometimes it feels a little oppressive even.
Suffocating.
Suffocating. Mrs. Aubin would know because she used to spend a lot of her time in Florida where it's very humid.
I just went to Florida.
Yes, and in December it might be refreshing. Yeah. In what, August, Mrs. Aubin, it's not so refreshing, right?
June, July, August, September, part of October.
Many months. All right, very good. All right, my friends. So I am going to go ahead and ask you. So at this point, we did some together. I did one for you. You did one as groups. What I would like you to do now that we are finished with the live lesson is now going to wrap up. What I would like you to do, and Mrs. Aubin and I will be taking a look at these to make sure that they are complete. So I would like you to do, please, these last three. Go ahead and read on pages 6 and 7, these last 3 sections, and please have one sentence in each box, at least one word that you think somebody might be unfamiliar with. and what you think it means. And you can use your dictionary if you need to answer those. All right. So does everybody understand what your job is now? Give me a thumbs up. And okay, I expect to see this entire page complete. All right. So give me a thumbs up. I still want a thumbs up from everybody that you understand.
Miss Harrison?
Yes, Mr. Lucas.
Do we have to do the 3 rows, or do we just have to do the last 2?
You need to well, if your group got further, but you need to complete whatever is not finished. Okay? Whatever is not finished on page 74 in your workbook. Okay? Thank you, Leo. He's telling me he knows what to do. Mr. August knows what he needs to do. Mr. Fox, are you clear on what your job is? Is to complete page 74. Thank you.
I can do it when I get home because my workbook's not here.
Okay, so that's fine. As long as you're getting it done as soon as you get that workbook, I do appreciate that. Okay, my friends, so let's really super quickly, right before we go, let's make sure we understand what our job was today. It was to make sure that, oh boy, now it's gonna have to reload again. All right, your job today was to follow these learning targets. I can use text features to find information. So today, if you need to help with any of those words, look in the glossary. If you need any, or maybe even back in the index, I can find the gist of an excerpt, and that's what we're doing. That's what you're finishing today for me on page 74. Those are your jobs that if you're successful, you have completed both of those items. Okay. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you are ready to go and know what you're going to do today. Excellent.
And Lennox, Max, and Lila, don't forget, in about 17 minutes, you're going to meet with Mrs. Woodland. And Max Fox, do you know, give me a thumbs up. And Lennox, I see Lila Morris knows. Make sure you have your workbook and a pencil. Lennox knows, Max Fox.